Hey everyone, it's Melody here with Design by Melody. It is scrapbox time. So I just finished a class with Big Picture Classes, and it was where we built a stash kit together. And it was actually the second installment to that class. That won't be released until August of 2015, but if you have not taken my first class on how to build a stash kit from your stash, make sure you go check that out on Big Picture Classes. I'm just a teacher, Melody Rayner. You will find me in the list of teachers on there, and you will see my first stash kit class that I did earlier this year in spring of 2020. Well, in the second installment to that class, in the very last video, the wrap-up video, the wrap-up lesson, I talk about different ways that I store my kits, and this is one of the stash kits that I shared, and I realized that this is actually primarily the stash kit from the first class installment, and I still have not put it away. So I decided today we are going to do a pocket layout. So I've got all my photos laid out here. We are going to do a pocket layout using this box of scraps, and this is primarily a stash kit that I created with a lot of other little things thrown in there. So we're going to see what we can create with this, and then whatever is left, I will go ahead and put it back in my stash, so I'll have an empty Antonius container to work with. I also pulled out this just because I happened upon this the other day. I had forgot that I had it. This is, it's very dusty. This is a Bella Boulevard container where I've put a lot of different products from Bella Boulevard, and there was a Super Stud collection. This is one of the cut apart sheets from that, and I thought it was kind of, some of the sentiments and things were kind of cute. So I thought I might use some of those as well. So this is completely unplanned other than where my photos are going. We are just going to work with this box of goodies and see what we can create. All right, let's get going. So as I said, this is totally unplanned. So I am actually going to try not to edit anything out of this video. So it's going quite quick. As you can see, it's about 5 times as fast, which I normally will speed things up between 2 and 4 times as fast. So we're going quite quickly here, but it's because I'm literally flipping through every single thing that is in this kit, or in this box rather. So I don't want to necessarily bore you with all of that because it did take me quite a while. It took me about an hour to complete this layout. And though that is not long necessarily, there wasn't a whole lot I can cut out without cutting out, you know, a part of the creative process. So since this is a scrap box layout and it is all about using the scraps that I have, I thought I would go ahead and include all the details that you will see. Every little bit of detail that took me to create this page, and clearly I'm having a problem with the words today, so ignore me. It's kind of early, and well, it's not early, it's like 10 a.m. but I haven't done a whole lot of talking today, so I think my brain is like a little slow on the uptake here, so bear with me. These photos are actually from, I think they're from, April of 2018. I will put that on my title card. So this is the year, 2018 is the year that I tried to do Project Life by week. And this is about the time that I realized I don't take near enough photos. So this is actually like 3 weeks in one layout, which is really sad because it's only like 4 different events. But, I just wasn't taking a whole lot of photos at the time, and I've really still got to work on that. That is something I still struggle with. I don't take enough photos. As I'm chatting, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as well. So right now I'm just flipping through one of the little, so there are 5 sections in the Antonius tray. If you're not familiar with that, that is a tray from IKEA. There are 5 sections in there, and then I had a pile of scraps laying on the top that were too big to fit into those sections. So the pile of scraps on the top is where I cut my cards from. Then each section, I am just going from little box to box within this section, within this Antonius tray, and pulling every single thing out and setting aside the things that I may use, or going ahead and placing those things on the page. So I'm just, after I finish emptying a little section, I will put it all back, and then I'll move on to the next section. So it's kind of a slow way to scrap, but it is kind of a fun way to scrap because as I'm going, I'm literally touching every piece of supply that I have included or that is in this scrap box. And it really helps me find things to use, especially when it may not be something that I immediately grab for. So I may not have immediately grabbed for this big giant sticker with a camera on it, but because I'm kind of flipping through each thing and looking for things that may work, I realize, oh, that may work on my title card, so I'm setting it there. And that's the entire process. That is what I'm going to continue to do throughout. Because this was an unplanned layout, I did a little bit of handwritten journaling instead of typed journaling, which is what I usually prefer to do. I usually prefer to do typed journaling. But because this was an unplanned layout, I am just kind of going off the cuff here, and I will be using some of my American Crafts precision pens to do the journaling. Okay, so back to the story, I think. Oh, yes. So I just am really bad about taking photos. And I think it's because I don't want to pull out the camera in the middle of events unless it's something that I'm taking a picture of. Like the 3 top right photos that you see, which will change placement here in a moment. Those 3 top right photos are from a fun run that Kaylin's school does every year. It's like a fundraiser, but it's also a way to kind of get the kids active and help them kind of have a little bit of good, competition. And I always volunteer every year. I'm always a room parent or a very active parent in his school. So I always volunteer with this. So that's kind of what's going on in those top 3 photos. I wanted to keep them in those top 3, that top right square kind of, but because I have those 2 wood veneer, the one that says smile and the one that says good times right next to each other, I feel like it's weird having the 2 wood veneer that are like the big pieces of wood veneer on this page right next to each other. So I'm going to end up moving those around. But before we do that, we're going to make a flip pocket. And I'm actually going to use some of this Scotch, it's black Scotch masking tape is what it is. And this is perfect for this type of flip pocket. If you're going to do a flip pocket like this, you either need to make sure it's at the top of your page to where it can flip over the top edge of the page, or it needs to be on the front side of the page. You cannot do a flip pocket like this in a 3x4 pocket on the back side of a page because the page opens to the front. And if you're not a Project Lifer, you'll have no idea what I'm just talking about. But if you do Project Life, you will understand. So you have to just make sure that the flip pocket is going to go where it's going to be on the opening side of the layout so that you can have the interactive flip on your page. Now, there are times where I have cut a slit in the plastic on the back side, but it kind of compromises the stability of your page. So I try to not do that very frequently. And this album, the 2018 album, is quite full already, so I can't necessarily have compromised pages in there to where they might fall apart. That's just too much of a risk, so I won't do that. And I'm sorry if this picture offends anybody. But Ernest and I have a very loving relationship, but we're also super goofy with each other. And so we were out to dinner, like on a date night together, and he was so not feeling the pictures. And I was like, come on, I want to take some pictures. So the front picture of this flip is of me telling him to smile. And that's why he's just got like a blank face on. So that's why I used the wood veneer smile. And then this was like, I was like, come on, smile. And he's like, oh, I'll smile. Here's a smile for you. And he like flipped me off. So our relationship is very frank and very loving and very goofy. So this kind of epitomizes our relationship, these 2 photos, because we've been together, 16 years now. I think it's 16 years. Gosh, it's been so long. I think it's been 16 years that we've been together, and it's just, we have been the same since day one. We're actually maybe a little less goofy now as we get a little bit older, but we have been the same since day one, and I love this man with all my heart. But I think it's funny to kind of capture some of these photos like this in our album, but I had to hide it because it's not necessarily appropriate for everybody flipping through my album to see that. Like, my mom would probably freak out. And I don't necessarily want my child to see that. I mean, he's 9. He knows exactly what it means. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but I do kind of have it a little bit hidden in here. One thing that I had in this scrap box that I end up using a lot is a couple scraps of vellum, and I forgot how much I love to scrap with vellum. I went through a whole phase where I bought packs of vellum at like 25 sheets in a pack, and I would use them on everything, and I forgot how much I love them. I've put them under our movie tickets there. That's when we went to go see Black Panther when it came out in theaters. So I put them under there to kind of create a layer behind the movie tickets, but without adding any more color to that card. That card was kind of simple and kind of a little bit more like laid back in its feel, and I didn't want to bring some other colored layer to that. So like I didn't want to bring in a blue or a gray, even though it would have coordinated with the rest of the page. I already have a ton of colors going on here, so I wanted to kind of keep that one just the simple colors itself. I realize that every time that my head pops into a video, I have like crazy hair, and that's usually how my hair looks. It's usually crazy. I go between having my hair curly and having it straight. It just depends on my mood on the day. And it always ends up being that when I'm doing, like I'm working, I tend to put it up and it gets kind of like frizzy and like all over the place. So that's what you guys get. You guys get the frizzy hair. All right, so I will tell you what my journaling says. I've actually got journaling sprinkled across the page. I've got the one on the bottom left. I've used some white office to write family time, and it says, Lonnie has quickly become a big part of our family, and she is a neighbor, but she's like my other child. Like her and Kaylin are only 2 months apart in age, and they hang out all the time. And they're both primarily only children, so they both have siblings, but they're the only ones that live full time at each of their houses. So they're kind of like only children in that sense. The photo on the bottom right says Ernest and Amir are going on college visits, the start of something really big and exciting. And that's why I have that on the bottom right. The word strip says written in the stars. And then I've got that white chipboard piece that says make note of this. And that is our godson that is doing college visits. And he's actually now starting to go to college. And then on the photo flip, the journaling says, and this is the photo result when I say smile. He's such a goober. I'll take it. And I think, and then the journaling with Kaylin walking says, after running 27 laps, he was tired, but still going. My little trooper. He loves to do that fun run at school. It's kind of a fun fundraiser, but it's a good way for the kids to kind of get to play around with each other and be a bit competitive, but it's all in good fun because they're all encouraging and yelling for each other and like, come on, come on, come on. It's always quite fun. So this sticker with the camera on it came out of a sticker book, and I ended up pulling all the stickers out of there because as I would use stickers, it would be hard to kind of like keep everything together. So I just pulled them all out and I used them. They're just kind of loose in my stash and I use them periodically. I think because I pulled them all out of the sticker book though, I don't use them as frequently as I would have if they were in the sticker book still, where I could like flip through the sticker book, but I wasn't using that either because it was all falling apart. So I've kind of made a conscious effort. At all times, I have scraps, like a little scrap collection sitting on my desk so I could pull from it if I need something in addition to a layout. When I'm like working with a kit, I always keep a bit of scraps kind of handy to be able to pull from. And those stickers have all kind of made it into that little scrap pile after I finish this layout, because I do want to make sure I utilize those. I hate that they get kind of lost in my stash. A lot of loose products do tend to get lost in my stash. So that's why you'll see me working with a pack of something that may only have 2 or 3 things on it. Yes, I could totally take it apart and put it like in my loose stash, but I just don't tend to work with my loose stash quite as much as I wish I did. Just kind of sprinkling a couple little things around. I needed a little bit more of the wood veneer, so I put a wood veneer heart up at the top with the title Fun Run. I've got a couple pieces of chipboard sprinkled around. I've got a couple titles sprinkled around, and that finishes off this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's always a lot of fun to work with my scrap box. I let my scraps pile up just in an effort for me to kind of keep them handy whenever I am scrapping within a kit. But once the scrap box gets a little too full, I will kind of work through it and put some of the things back and also kind of just see what I can create with it. So that is what this layout was today. If you would like to see what supplies I used, because it's in my scrap box, I don't have a supply list, but I will have a tool and tool supply list if you would like to see what tools I regularly use. Okay, until next time, bye.